It's time for another podcast. 11/17, November 2020. Life is good. It's a pretty good group today. There's like 13 of us, and it's been very well organized. Rolling in here to the stop sign, and it looks like it's Carrie and Carl, Brian, and Steve at the front. Reasonable stop, and it's time to enter the zone. We've got Carl and Brian looking like they're going to mark each other. Carrie slides back, kind of surprised, but you never know what Carrie's going to do. Sometimes he's really animated, sometimes not. Regardless, it looks like Byron and Carl are going to set the pace leading this one out. And I must say, the group today was extremely well organized. Many times we have some of the pace line where people's handlebars aren't aligned. There's like half wheeling. People are too afraid to get close or whatever. But looking behind here, you can see everybody is well aligned. Nobody hanging out in the road. The tempo's good. Everyone looking relaxed, close together like they should be. This looks like a well-oiled team. And if they were all wearing the same kit, this would look most impressive. Regardless, Carl and Byron up front setting a really good tempo to start with. My wattage looks reasonable, and we're looking at the high 100s, low 200s, in and off, depending on like whether or not I want to adjust my spacing. 21 miles an hour looks reasonable, and everybody is content. It seems that these days that Carrie is a marked man. There are other strongmen in the group. We've got Tony back there. Oh, there's a nice shot of Carrie, looking relaxed behind the big men. Thomas is back there. So there are big men that are not up front, that haven't done anything, that are dangerous today. So it's been pretty pedestrian up to this point. And I'm guessing we've probably passed the almost 3/4 mile, closing on the mile mark, and no one has done anything. I guess this is a good thing, and it's November, and I'm content with it, because looking at my wattage, even though I'm still sitting in, these are still really good numbers. Now, normally, this corner coming up is a good springboard for an attack. Yeah, everybody leans over. I'm always a little nervous because I didn't know if there were any cars coming leaning over that line. Even on a motorcycle, it's like you don't want to apex that corner. But I digress. Carl and Byron on the gravel bike, putting out good wattage up front and looking comfortable, not even in the drops. Both he and Carl just like looking comfortable up there at like 24 miles an hour. So about this point, it looks like we've passed about the mile mark. So 3 miles to go, and it's about time to get this party started. Everyone's looking way too comfortable just sitting in. I can see Justin back there, Brandon's still there, and here it's time to go. I thank Carl and Byron for their service, but it's time to get the party going. Clear roads up ahead, the sky's looking good, and it looks like I'm starting to string things out at 300 plus watts. And this is what we like to see. Not certain how long I want to stay out here, but it won't be too long because it looks like Greg is willing to take up the rotation and we're starting to get organized. Byron still up near the front on the gravel bike. That's most impressive. One of these days I'm going to have to get his wattage files on a bike that he's got some numbers to give me. And I'm accelerating, just trying to stay behind Greg, and we're looking at that, still 300 plus watts, a little bit of acceleration. Looking back, there's Carl behind me. I see Joel, Justin, and then Thomas, just like adjusting himself, no hands, very relaxed, sitting near the back. I can see Tony off there a little bit. Everybody's pretty comfortable, but we are strung out. It looks like Carrie is at the front, and he is drilling it. If I'm sitting in like fourth wheel and still pushing like 200 plus watts, into the 300 at times, things are afoot at this point. nicely strung out, nicely tight. Even Byron looks like he's in the drops, but still has enough energy to go around Carey. So now it's totally like it is game on. People pushing hard, and I'm impressed with Byron's strength on the gravel bike, going to the front, driving hard enough that Greg immediately doesn't want to go around on this one. This is one of the few days where there really isn't any wind, at least not from the south. So there's no echelon really necessary today. Speeds are high, very well organized. In fact, yeah, this is like perfect. I'm loving how the group is actually working today. This is what we like to see. Byron in the drops, pushing good wattage. In fact, if I had to give out a most animated, most aggressive rider of the day, Byron might win that one. Looking back, there's Carey sitting back, looking comfortable on my wheel. Wattage is still high. I'm looking in the 300, 350. You know, this is not an easy effort coming over that little rise over the bridge. Tony outside. Maybe he's thinking about coming around, but we're still not into a good rotation yet. Good wattage being pushed, and there we go. I slide back. Carey goes up. I slot back in. I'm trying to decide what I really want to do here, but it looks like, well, I've got to go and keep things animated. I'm a little surprised that Tony and Thomas and Justin haven't really, and Joel haven't taken up the mantle to get into the rotation yet. Because it's dangerous to have fresh men sitting in, and we're at the 2 mile point, just a little over that. And if we're going to have anything left for the sprint, or if I'm going to have anything, we need some of the big men to come to the front to give me some respite here. Taking over from Carey at 200 plus watts, 300 at times, keeping it still strung out. Carl coming to the front, looking good. And now, finally, some of the others decide to come and do some work. Joel coming through finally, but I know he had some hard workouts, a run and a ride the other day with like Greg, so he's a little tired. Tony, I don't think has any excuse, but I don't know. Coming through nicely. Justin makes his first appearance in the top 4. And then there's Thomas, kind of sitting at the back. Now, arguably, he's the strongest man in the group. I'd say it'd be between him and perhaps Byron. Today, Byron's on his gravel bike, so he's not going to be any threat. Thomas, fresh off the Belgian waffle ride from a couple weeks ago, surely enjoying fitness from that effort. Slotting in behind Justin, working pretty hard, and I'm off in the wind a little bit. You'll see a slight echelon, but I don't want to get gapped off here. So, with 400 watts or so, just to stay behind Joel, my efforts were worth it. And if there was anybody in the way, well, I didn't have to worry about it. And today, there's a lot of people that are going to be just like disrupted. I have to worry about drifting back too far in the group and not worrying about getting gapped. Not going to name any names here, but there's the usual suspects that are strong enough to kind of sit in, but they don't have the etiquette or the courtesy, some of them do, to pull out of the line when they're getting gapped. So it just makes it extra hard to go through. But this group, these are all tight. These are all strong men. And so I'm comfortable sitting in the back here. Nice line, nice and tight. People working hard. And even at the back here, I'm looking at 300 watts. Now, we've noticed there's been no selection yet, and we're getting close to the end here. I'm like, what is up with that? Carl gets done with his pull at the front. Justin wants no part of the front and slots back behind Carl, drifting back through the group. So if I had to say, I think I guess Thomas and at this point Justin are the only people who haven't really made it to the front yet. So they're dangerous. I mean, bringing Justin to a sprint is just a mistake because he's a really strong sprinter. He might not have the aerobic ability right now, but his anaerobic ability is never in question. Still hanging out at the back here, recovering a little bit. And I wish I had my heart rate. And I did have data, but it was like in the 50s and 60s. That heart rate monitor, that Garmin that I've got, I got to replace that. Anyway, so here I go, trying to get in position such that if there is an attack, I'm going to be there. But it doesn't look like anything's happening. So I'm pushing, 350, 370 watts or whatever. I figure I might as well just keep going. There's Thomas at the front, finally working hard. And I'm going 350 watts. And I've got a little bit of a gap here. So I'm pushing forward. I can see the top of the hill where the sprint officially ends. Might want to change that, but I've almost got it. And then here comes Tony working hard, and Thomas loses a wicked sprint, and nobody's got anything for him. So it looks like I probably maybe got fourth over the crest there. Nice effort by Carl. Kind of surprised Justin wasn't there, or Carey for that matter, but a good effort was had by all. That was good times. Little congratulations I saw there from Byron, to Joel. There's Greg bringing up the rear here. Very nicely done. I had a good time. Very safe on that one. Well organized. People doing work. I loved that one.